So tell me, what's the shayla? Go ahead. I'm all yours.
So he wants to know, he said, he's asking me on the way, well, he said, we're talking about Mashiach,
sure.
we're talking about the Beis HaMikdash.
Yes.
And he's saying, like, I want to connect. What am I connecting to? What am I saying about? He's like, you're the authority. He said, what should he be feeling to connect to the day?
So I'll tell you something unbelievable. Mamish unbelievable. I want to tell you something unbelievable. Come here, Kindle. I want to tell you something mamish unbelievable. So the question is, we want to connect. What are we doing here? And why is this place so important? Why is it so important? Now, it should be, logically, this should not be a place of any happiness. This should really, what we're looking at here in front of us, this is the Western world, the המערבי. This is a relic, a leftover of what the Romans couldn't destroy. When Titus Harosha came to destroy the Beis HaMikdash, he couldn't bring down that wall. He tried. In fact, on the southern part, they knocked down many stones. But ultimately, the Romans gave up. They couldn't destroy this wall because this wall holds up the whole Harabais. It's an amazing thing. So the question is, what are we doing here? I mean, what is the chashivas of this? It should be really that we look at what's called the המערבי, and it should be a place historically that is just of pain. It should be a time, something of the past. This is like it should be chas v'chalil. This is a museum. You understand? Is that what we're looking at? But it's an interesting thing. Listen up. It's an interesting thing. In truth, the Jews come here, and then not only we're supposed to rise kriya, sadness, and we look at something that is, in a sense, a museum. It's what's left over from Titus Harosha, but also it's a place of tremendous people come here and they gasp, and they reach euphoric heights here. And the question is, why? Why does this makom, dafka this makom, which is not the holiest place, the holiest place is on the other side, make no mistake, but it's dafka this place that causes sadness, but it also brings us to tremendous ecstasy and heights. Why? Listen, I'll tell you something very holy. When Mashiach comes, and please God, he'll come very soon, it could be even today, it could be what's happening now, mamish is mamish now. So you have to have in mind that all the Torah we're now exploring, because it's connected to the destruction of Beis HaMikdash, we can learn it on Tisha B'Av. You have to understand, when Mashiach comes, please God, it'll come immediately. Mamish, it can happen tonight, tomorrow. Actually, it'll be tomorrow, because Eliyahu Novi is going to come first. So listen up. Listen. What is going to happen to that wall? That means, listen up. The last 8 parakim, the last 8 chapters of the book of Yechezkel is what? Is
architecture plan.
Is the unused blueprints of the third Beis HaMikdash. The end of Yechezkel from chapter 40 to 47, except 48, is exactly what the third Beis HaMikdash is going to be. What is going to happen to the המערבי when Mashiach comes? The answer is that the המערבי, with the Shechina never left, the Medrash says, that's going to be the first wall of the third Beis HaMikdash. Therefore, why does this place elicit within the heart of a child of Hashem both sadness and joy? Why does it make us cry and fill us with ecstasy and hope? Why do people come here from all places, from Kansas to Tel Aviv, who never even thought about the God of Israel, and they come here and they feel 2 feelings, pain and hope? And the answer is, this is pain and hope. Why? Because we're looking at what happened 2,000 years ago, what the Romans, Yumach Shimam, did, that they came and destroyed the Beis HaMikdash on Tisha B'Av. But also we're saying, you kept the promise. This is the first chayma of the third Beis HaMikdash. You understand? That's why this place, you understand? We're looking at the future and the past here. We're in 2 places at once. That's why people walk around and they're dazed. You mamish people look around, you watch people walking around, and people are mamish nishtoimim here. What's going on? People are nishtoimim because there's 2 things happening. Sadness of the past, but hope for the future. Now, we're very fortunate. All of us were born after the birth of the State of Israel, after the Jews returned to Israel and Yerushalayim, and now we're waiting. We never went through a tremendous tragedy, the Mashiach ben Yosef moment with Nebuch. The Gemara Megillah says that Chevlei Mashiach, the Mashiach ben Yosef, is going to happen on Sukkot. That's why the Haftorah on Sukkot, on Shabbos Sukkot, is Zechariah Yecheskel 38 and 39. Mechemes Gog and Magog. The Gemara says Mechemes Gog and Magog begins on Sukkot, and that's why we have to read Yecheskel 38 and 39. So this is how we should understand. We have to feel two things as a person, as a Jew. We have to feel two things. Number one, we see the past, and we see Nebuch, that the painful prophecies unfolded, just like Rabbi Akiva HaKodesh VaHator, the great Tano who lived in the 2nd century. He was standing on Mount Scopus, and he saw the Har HaBayis. So the Gemara, he was sitting with his Talmidim, and he saw the Har HaBayis destroyed completely. And his people who were with him, they were crying. They saw a rodent, an animal, running across the Har HaBayis. And they were crying, and he was smiling. And they asked him, Rebbe, why are you smiling? Here, like a mouse goes in a place where the Holy of Holies, where only the high priest can go on Yom Kippur. What's the smile? So Rabbi Q says, just as I see that all the prophecies of difficulties, of challenges, that Hashem kept those promises, we just witnessed something unbelievable, that since the Milchama, we never saw such a thing ever. Just as we see those prophecies come through, we know truly that the future prophecy, that's why the Kaisel is so unique. The future prophecy that of Mashiach has come too, and that's what's going on here.
What about even more than what are you saying? Even more, the base of English itself. He's saying we know it's something important, the huge shul with Karban. He's saying, but deep down, the deep sadness. He's like, what do we connect to? What it means for a person in your real life that should be so sad about?
That Kodesh Baruch Hu keeps his promise. What is sadness? So sadness is really I lose hope.
We shouldn't be happy. We shouldn't be sad. We should be happy when we come here and see it.
Right, but every year that the Beis HaMikdash is not built, it's like it was destroyed in that generation. Chazal tell us that every year the Beis HaMikdash isn't built. So when we're standing here, and we hope we're going to see very soon, but the truth is that in every generation, every door where the Beis HaMikdash is not built, as though it was destroyed in that door. Because there's a person waiting now to bring the Gula. So we had to say, what do we have to do? We have to go back. I'll tell you an interesting thing. I'll tell you in Shatazach. In Sefer Zechariah, he was a Kodesh Merech Emimai. He was a very holy Navi, Zechariah. He was a young man when he became a Navi. So he was here in Yerushalayim. Zechariah was here in Yerushalayim. And Jews in Bavel, which Bavel straight that way, they sent in a Shaila to him. He was the Gadol Hador. He was like Rabbi Karnowski. People sent him Shiloh, so they sent him a Shiloh. And it's Zechariah, Sefer Zechariah, Perek Zayin, Pasuk Gimel. And the Shiloh goes like this. Just so you know that the second Beis HaMikdash was already being built. Second Beis HaMikdash was already being built. So the Jews living in Boropark, I meant Babylon, excuse me. The Jews who were living in Bavel, they had no plans to come here. They asked the Shiloh. What was the Shiloh they asked? From the Gadol Hador. The Shiloh, does anybody know what Shiloh is? They asked the Shiloh, do we still have to fast? Do we still have to fast on Tisha B'Av? Do we have to cry and fast on Tisha B'Av? That's the Shiloh. Could you imagine that? Jews in Bavel, in Williamsburg, in Borough Park, in Queens, in Flatbush, they were asking, now that the second Beis HaMikdash is being built, so why are we fasting on the 9th day of the 5th month? It's because the first Beis HaMikdash is destroyed. But now building the second temple, maybe we could start eating on Tisha B'Av. That's mamish what happens. You imagine Zechariah should get such a child like that? From Bavel, they asked him such a question. So Zechariah is very angry with them. He says, do you think HaKadosh Baruch Hu cares if you're eating, if your stomach is full, if it's empty? It's for you that you fast. And then Zechariah goes to a sweeping prophecy of the future, and that's chapter 8. He says, days are coming, you should know, don't give up hope. That old men and old women will be walking the streets of Yerushalayim. That's where that pasuk comes from. That's Zechariah chapter 8. And old men and old women will walk the streets, and children will play in Yerushalayim, on the streets of Yerushalayim. And all your first 15 of chapter 8, And all the fast days, he mentions 4 fast days, become days of joy, and it'll be time of Moed. That's where it comes from. And how does the chapter end? In those days, 10 Gentiles of different nations will grab the shirt of a Jew and say, Nelcha imachem, let us go with you, ki shamanu, because we heard that God is with you. And when God is with you, nothing can harm you. When you bow before the God of Israel, you fear no one. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, gam netzach Yisrael lo yishaker, ki lo odem hu li'nochem. So that's what's happening. When we're here, we know that Hashem keeps his promise. Both when we're getting patch, both when it's difficult, Yisurim, and also for the final redemption. And that's what's happening. So Zechariah said to them, you foolish people, you're fasting not because God cares if there's food in your stomach, you're fasting to remind you of the past, but also know the future. And that's where we are right now. If you enjoyed this program, please like and subscribe.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא עובד